Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. It's a beautiful Thursday morning, November 17th, 2022. And you might look at the shared screen and say, uh-oh, Tom brought up the wrong page. But actually, we're going to go back and revisit a training that we did almost 2 months ago, because we're blessed to continue to bring on lots of new white label partners. And so this is probably the best one pager, which should be in each of your white label drop boxes, that talks about the step-by-step process to get started. So that's really our goal today, is to go back and revisit the most basic element of, if you're a new white label partner, how do you get started? What's really nice about what you and I do is we work with a broad variety of people, quite the diversity, whether it be age or race, gender, education, just what a melting pot. So that's exciting to me, and hopefully you share that as well. Just take some of our white label partners. We have JDs and CPAs. Terrence is on here, he's a CPA. We've got MBAs and probably have some PhDs. And then also we have people that are a little less educated, a little less sophisticated. For example, I was working with one of our white label partners yesterday, actually my last call yesterday afternoon. She's also a client, and she'd submitted in a business plan. And the business plan just didn't seem quite right. And the first thing that tipped us off to that is the client / white label partner was not listed as the owner. It was someone else listed as the owner of the business plan. And I don't want to mention her name because the intent isn't to embarrass her, but I said, well, ma'am, I called her by name. I said, but ma'am, is this correct? Do you own this business? And so come to find out, she does own the business, but the business plan that she provided shows that someone else owns it. And she couldn't understand easily, at least, we spent quite a bit of time on it, why it was important that her business plan shows that she's the owner. That was confusing to her. So again, I'm not making light of her. She's a smart, beautiful, talented individual. But the point is, you and I work with all different types of people. One of our RVPs, Mandy, she's living in a homeless shelter. So it's okay that people come from different perspectives in life. We want to help everyone. But the point as we get started here is to stop and realize that not everyone has the intellect, the experience, the education that you have, and you may need to sometimes step back and simplify and confirm that they understand. So lastly, before we get started, we have one new white label partner. I was visiting with her yesterday, and she was literally crying on the phone, crying. She was so happy that she found this program. She had been married for 30 years, gotten divorced. I don't know why, it's none of my business, none of our collective business, but got divorced, has some health issues, and she needed a way to be able to support herself moving forward. And so she's so excited to be a white label partner, but frankly, she was feeling overwhelmed. So she was the catalyst for us to go back and revisit today's topic, which was originally presented on September 22nd. And it's going to go through the concept of looking at campaigns. And so we'll discuss that. And then we have the implementation steps, which is crucial. So if you're a brand new white label partner, or frankly, if you've been around a while, but you're trying to get your legs underneath you, we're going to cover the basics here in just a few minutes, so you're ready to get started helping people making money immediately. Okay, so we want to approach this from a perspective of a campaign. So let's say that you and I worked for Kellogg's cereal, Frosted Flakes. I don't really care for it, but I'm familiar with it. So let's say that you're the brand manager of Frosted Flakes. You've got to figure out who you're wanting to advertise to and how you're going to reach them. So we need to identify our target market. So when we have a campaign in your and my world, we need to first figure out, all right, well, which program are we going to take out to the marketplace? There's the access to capital, which I would recommend starting with. There's no upfront cost. There's no risk to the client, $100,000 guarantee, you're going to have the highest conversion rate into that and the fewest objections. But there are other campaigns that are available. We used to call it capital ready, guaranteed finance, and that's where essentially they're paying the refundable deposit upfront to you. And then there's also the SBA Express. But I would recommend, if you're new or still trying to get your momentum, I would focus singularly on access to capital initially for the reasons I stated. No upfront cost, no risk to the client, guaranteed capital raise to the client, and you're going to make around $12,500 per client. So it's not get rich quick, probably not going to change your life, but we're going to work together, help at least 8 clients a month. So that'll get you to the 100,000 a month. So, but you do need to decide which of the campaigns you're going out to. One of the mistakes we've seen people do is they kind of combine these. So then they start confusing their prospects and sometimes even communicating untruths because they're combining things. So I would recommend starting with the access to capital, but you all are adults. You can decide what you want. Then we need to decide who our target audience is. And I know at the basic level, we're looking for small business owners, but are we wanting newly formed businesses, those that just form their LLC, C Corp, or S Corp, because there's places we can go get those? Are we looking for a little bit more established businesses? Are we looking for certain locations, certain industries? We need to decide who we're trying to reach out to so we can develop a campaign and implement that campaign effectively. To just say all small businesses is a horrible idea because that's millions and millions and millions of them. And while that number may sound attractive, you're not going to easily reach everyone. So we need to decide who we're going to go after. So once we have decided which program we're going to promote, and I'd recommend starting with access to capital. Some of you are more sophisticated and you're doing the others, and that's okay. But for a newbie, I'd recommend access to capital. Decide who we're wanting to target, and then we have to decide how we're going to reach them. So ultimately, we have to create a sales funnel, and this is what I was talking to the white label partner about yesterday. In short, you can buy or build leads. Buy means you pay someone else to bring you leads. And so that sounds expensive, but it doesn't need to be. A number of you are using the virtual assistant program from Synergy Direct Solutions. They actually provide the leads for free. They have a virtual assistant that'll make the calls and feed them into you. So that's one way. If you want to go out and teach or do social media marketing, there's lots of different ways to generate leads. That's really not our focus today, but we are going to need to have leads. We're going to need to have a funnel and decide what we're wanting to do with them. Do you have a landing page that you're just driving them to with the hope and expectation that they'll just sign up? Are you going to call them? You going to text them? What is it you're going to do? That's up to you. Each of you are the CEOs of your business as a white label partner. You have the expertise, the competency, or at least the willingness to develop that to figure out how to connect small business owners with the programming. So that's up to you what you want to do. There's not just one right way to do it. We are going to need to get the client under contract because that is the way that they know what they should expect and you know what you should expect. So they're promising to pay you typically a minimum of $12,500 and what they're going to expect to receive. So there's a couple primary ways to do that. You could set up Adobe or DocuSign, an e-signature type of software. Better yet, we would recommend, but I know not all of you want to do this, which is fine, set up online terms and conditions. In other words, you have a landing page, you drive people to your landing page and they can just click, accept, and now they're a client. That's up to you, but that decision has to be made, right? We can't say, well, I just really need to make more money as a white label partner if you don't have an efficient way to contract with the client. And then ultimately, these clients are going to pay you. I have one of our RVPs, she kind of went off the rail. I think she's got some substance abuse issues or mental issues, but she's like, well, how is BPC, business paralegal, going to pay her? It's like, you're missing the point. As a white label partner through our program, the clients are paying you directly. not us. You're not waiting for us to pay you. In the vast majority of the cases, the client's contract is between you and them, and they pay you. So yes, you're running a business. You're the CEO of a business. It should be $1 million a year business at least. And so, yeah, you'll need to figure out how you're going to accept payments from the client. Doesn't have to be complicated. If you want to use Cash App or Venmo or Zelle or PayPal, I mean, it's up to you. You're the CEO of your business. But this is the core of developing the campaign. Our primary focus, which will be fast, is to make sure that we understand the implementation steps. And this is especially valuable for new white label partners or not so new ones that haven't been active, because this has evolved some, I guess, over time. So we create at no cost. So there's no cost to sign up as a white label partner. There's certainly promises that we make to them and they make to us, but there's no upfront cost to white label partner. And part of that setup is getting them a Dropbox. So we provide them a Dropbox folder. If you don't have your Dropbox folder, can't access it, don't know how to get it, you need to let us know. Contact support and we'll help you. But you should have a white label partner Dropbox that has a number of agreements and resources in it. And one of which, most relevant to our discussion now, is the access to capital participation agreement. It's an editable Word document. So you, as the white label partner, can make the changes that you want to make in terms of pricing, of course, having your name, your branding on it. So you can either have this access to capital participation agreement set up on a landing page, whereby the clients just accept terms and conditions, or as I mentioned before, you can send it to them for e-signature. That is up to you. It's up to you. Scott Stroud, our Chief Marketing Officer, if you want him to set up a landing page for you with terms and conditions online, he can do it. You can do it on your own, doesn't matter. And that is best practice. But ultimately, you need to have this agreement template modified with the language and terms that you want. And then we need to have it ready. We're not open for business until we can sign up clients, either e-signature or online. And as I mentioned, you'll edit that template as you want. So each time that you, as a white label partner, sign up a client, what are you going to do? You're going to upload that signed agreement between you and the client into Dropbox, and you're going to notify us, hey, I've got a signed contract. And that's great. Terrence just did that yesterday, for example. The second step is for you then, as the white label partner, to have the client complete the funding proposal application. It's like, whoa, 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 where's that? Again, it's in the Dropbox. And so this can be easily sent via Adobe or DocuSign. It's not requiring a signature. It's not a new contract, but it's the data gathering. You could even just talk to them over the phone and complete it. But this is the data that we need to be able to get their first tranche of financing. The first tranche of financing in the Access to Capital program is going to provide the first round of funding to the client that's going to allow them to pay you the refundable deposit, the $2,500 refundable deposit. Now, if you don't want it to be refundable, it's not refundable. If you want it to be more or less than $2,500, you can, but I'm just going to use that standard language. So now you've done your part. You've done step one and step two. Some of you have asked, well, why don't, if you as a white label partner need to do these two steps, why don't you make them together instead of separate? You could, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would make it two distinct steps. I'd get them under contract first, via Adobe, DocuSign, online terms and conditions, whatever. And then secondly, once they're under contract, then I would recommend getting the application. I wouldn't combine them into one step, but it's up to you. You're the CEO. So then the ball comes to our court, and the process is working pretty smoothly, typically within one business day. And you got to let us know, obviously. You got to let us know that you have a file ready to implement. And most of you are pretty good at that. To implement, we need both of those things, of course. So then the ball's in our court, and now normally within one business day, we're going to get the client funding offers and communicate that to you. The typical client gets multiple offers. How much they get will depend upon their credibility, right? It's not a reflection of you or me or the program, how much they get for first tranche financing. It's a reflection of them and the decisions that they've made. So it's going to normally be, and we have some business lines of credit that we do, but often it's going to be a personal loan for that first tranche of financing because we've not built the loan package out yet, right? That's the goal of getting them to pay the $2,500 so we can go build the loan package. That's not happened yet. So for the first tranche of financing, it certainly could be a business line of credit, but it also could be a personal loan. We'll notify you of the offers, and there's obviously no hard inquiries to the client. And then what you want to do is encourage that client to accept one or more of the offers, and they can stack these offers. So let's say that we take Collis through this, who's on the call here. And so he got 3 offers. One, we'll just make it simple. One for 10,000, one for 5,000, one for 2,500. He could accept all 3. So his first tranche of financing total 17,500, or he could accept just one of the 3. If I were you, I would encourage your clients to accept all, but you want at least enough to cover the deposit so you get paid. So the express purpose of the first tranche, the first round, is to cover what is normally $2,500. Again, you can make it more or less of the refundable deposit, which you can make it refundable or non-refundable. So anything above that is great for the client. We do have a safety net financing option, so all clients will receive at least one funding offer. No one will go through the first tranche and not get at least one funding offer. But how much they get and what they get offered will vary by client based upon their circumstances. When they first come to us, you and I are working with them as they are, and then we work on building their credibility and building their loan package so they can access a lot more. So then the client's going to receive that financing. It doesn't come to us. It doesn't go to you. It goes to the client, right? Which it should. So it could be a line of credit where they pull from it, but a lot of times it'll just be a term loan. So they get the money normally wired to them, and then you're going to collect your deposit, whether you make it refundable or not, and then the performance fee. So there's 2 elements of payment from the client to you. The deposit or refundable deposit, normally set at $2,500, and the performance fee, kind of like being a realtor where you're paid a % of the deal afterwards. And so normally that's 10%. Some of you are doing more, some of you are doing less. Then what happens is we'll start working on the loan package and working towards the larger capital raise. So if you are a new white label partner, hopefully this is helpful in understanding. First, we need to figure out our campaign. How are we going to target our prospects, reach our prospects, get our prospects under contract? And then here is just a simple explanation of the implementation process. Who has questions, comments, concerns? I do have to cut the training a bit short. Some of our investors are in this morning. But who has questions, comments, concerns on this, which is most likely a review for those of you that have been around and those that haven't? All right, so Timothy's asking a good question. So what if the client comes in, they get their first tranche of financing, but they're disappointed? They're like, oh shit, I needed a lot more than that. Well, we have to paint the right expectations. The first tranche of financing, what is the purpose of it? What is the purpose? The purpose, Timothy and others, is to help fund the refundable deposit so we can build their loan package and go after the larger amount of capital, because you can't just wish for a big business loan. We need to have the credibility and the documentation for it. And so if you're setting the wrong expectation, oh, you might get 100,000 in 3 days. I mean, it's possible, and we've seen that happen, but that's not the norm. We need to set the expectation. If you went into the mattress shop to finance a mattress, all you're hoping to get out of that is to put the mattress on top of your car and go home and be able to sleep on it. You're financing the mattress. Here, what we're trying to do is get financing so they don't have to pay out of pocket for the refundable deposit. Then we build a loan package. Then we go after the larger capital raise. I think that can be the biggest source of confusion or frustration with clients, is if they think they're going for the big round of funding immediately. Well, it's possible if they have already paid the deposit and they have a loan package put together, but normally we need to build a loan package to be prepared to go for the larger capital raise. Quincy asks, yes, so all clients will receive at least one funding offer. We have a consortium of about 40 different banks, credit unions, and alternative lenders that we'll fund just about anyone. But if for some reason we have someone that cannot get any cash funding offers, and again, no hard inquiry, so they're not going to be mad at you about that, then we have an internal financing where we can finance the refundable deposit at 0% interest. So clients love that. 0% interest, you can't beat that. We still split that with you 50-50, but it's paying out over time. It's not an advance fee loan. So that's right. So we can get everyone financing for that refundable deposit. What's the purpose of that? To go build the loan package, right? Because without the loan package, we're not going to be able to get the large funding. All right, Alfred's asking for clarification on the landing page. So yes, if you're not using a landing page, as we talked about earlier, I think you're going to have less success. So is it a requirement? No. Am I pushing you to do it? No. But if I'm telling you best practice, yeah, I would work with Scott Stroud, our Chief Marketing Officer. He can whip together a landing page using your colors and your specifics. It's branded to you. He'll link to that, your online terms and conditions. And so this is what Jeff did. Remember, we talk about Jeff Sokol, our star, right? In 1 month, 30-day period, he enrolled over 400 clients, not 400 prospects, 400 enrollments. How did he do it? He worked with Scott, built a landing page. Scott built a landing page for him. Scott built in the online terms and conditions. Scott built in follow-up drip marketing. So if people started the enrollment but didn't complete, they got educational prompts via email and or text. So that works really well. All right, so again, I apologize for cutting short today, but the investors are coming in here in 9 minutes. I need to go tend to that. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Hopefully this was a good refresher for those of you that have been around, and those of you that are new. Now you know what you should do in terms of identifying a campaign, which we can help you with, as well as the implementation steps. We offer all of our white label partners a weekly one-on-one call in addition to these trainings. So if you're not scheduling those, I encourage you to do so. That way we can be of best support to you. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you back tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.